If you found yourself drinking again after a stretch of sobriety, I want you to know this. You're not alone and you are not broken. Today's episode is for you if you've found yourself starting over again after a relapse. If you've had a drink recently after a stretch of being alcohol-free and now you're swimming in guilt, shame, and self-judgment, I want you to lean in close and listen carefully. You are not broken. You haven't failed, and you are absolutely not alone. Relapse is a part of so many people's journey. It's not a sign that you can't do this. It's a sign that you're human. It just means something in your support system, your tools, or your process wasn't working in that moment. And the good news, we can fix that. In this episode, we're going to talk about why relapse happens, even to smart, strong, capable people just like you, how to move through it without beating yourself up, and how to use this moment to build a stronger foundation for your alcohol-free life. Because you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And if you're ready to take that next step and recommit, I've got something powerful to support you. My Alcohol-Free April 21-day challenge is starting soon, and it's exactly what you need to reset, rebuild, and feel proud of yourself again. And I'll tell you more about that later in the episode. So take a deep breath, grab your coffee, and let's have this honest conversation about relapse because you deserve to feel good again. Hey everybody, welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh, master coach, interventionist, and a woman who knows exactly what it feels like to fall short of your own expectations. So let's start by talking about something most people don't say out loud, especially not in the early stages of sobriety. Relapse doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you don't want it bad enough or that you're not cut out for sobriety. What it actually means is that your nervous system is screaming for relief, and you reached for the quickest thing that used to work. It means your brain did exactly what it's been conditioned to do: seek comfort in the fastest, most familiar way possible. But here's the truth: relapse is emotional, not logical. It's not about alcohol. It's about wanting to feel different right now. If you're overwhelmed by work, if your partner triggered an argument, if you're exhausted from parenting or caregiving, or if you're just plain lonely, your body and brain want relief. And if alcohol is what has worked before, then your brain says, hey, let's do that again. It's just a coping strategy that's gone rogue. One of my clients, Sarah, had been sober for almost a year. She was doing great, journaling, working out, new sober friends. And one Friday night, after a rough week with her teenage son, she poured a glass of wine. Just one. That's what she told herself. And then, of course, she's on the phone with me and she hated herself for it. And she told me, she's like, Angela, I feel like I've ruined everything. But here's what I told her. Exactly what I'm telling you. You didn't ruin anything. You just hit a bump in the road. And now it's time to get back on track with better tools. That's exactly why I created the Alcohol-Free April 21-day challenge. It's not just about white knuckling it through 3 weeks without a drink. It's about resetting your mindset, your habits, your support system. So next time life throws you something hard, you're ready. So let's get practical. If you've relapsed recently, here's your next move. First, stop the shame spiral. Beating yourself up won't help. And let's be real. If shame worked, none of us would still be drinking, right? You don't need punishment. You need compassion and a plan. Second, get honest. not cruel, but honest with yourself. Ask yourself what really happened. What were you feeling? What were you trying to escape or avoid? This isn't about blaming. It's about understanding and learning from your mistakes so you can do better moving forward. And I want you to challenge yourself here too. I want you to get really honest about how hard you fought the craving or the thought when it popped up. Did you use your tools? Or did you give in immediately? Did you have tools ready to use? Or is that something you've put on the back burner and never got to? Dig deep here because this is the part that will make you stronger. Pure honesty. Third, recommit today. Not next week, not after the birthday party or the vacation, today. Even if it's just one small step. Maybe that's putting the wine back in the cabinet. Maybe it's texting a sober friend. Maybe it's signing up for a challenge that will give you daily support and structure. And remember this, you're not starting over, you're starting wiser. You've got more experience now than you did on day one. You know what your triggers feel like. You know the moments you need extra help. You know what happens when you don't reach out. That's power, my friend. That's how we grow. Here's the part no one tells you when you're in that dark post-relapse fog. You don't go back to zero. You go forward from experience. In 12 steps, we reset our day count. If you aren't a 12-step person, then don't worry about that. Certainly don't overthink it and put a bunch of energy into it and freak yourself out about it. For me, resetting that day count is part of that pure honesty I was talking about. It's keeping me humble and honest, and it's holding yourself to a higher standard and expecting more from yourself. I'm a true believer that one of the greatest barriers of the human condition is we let ourselves off the hook way too easy. I don't want you to beat yourself up or shame yourself. I want you to recognize that you may be capable of more than you realize. And I want you to challenge yourself to push yourself a little farther. Just like we do with exercise. I didn't get strong by stopping the workout the second it got hard, right? I had to push through. Right now, I'm working on doing more push-ups. They're really hard for me. That means I have to push myself through the pain, through the discomfort, and I have to do more each day to get stronger. Recovery is the same way. You're building a muscle. And to make that muscle stronger, you have to push through discomfort. You have to challenge yourself to do it harder, to do more than you've done before. That's how you build that muscle. Recovery is exactly the same way as exercise. If you want to get stronger, you have to do the hard stuff. Every time you recommit to your sobriety, even after a setback, you're building a new layer of strength. You're learning something you didn't know before. And that is what long-term success is made of. Not perfection, but persistence. And listen, I'll share something with you. Even after 19 years of sobriety, I still catch myself scanning the liquor shelves when I walk into a restaurant. I still notice what other people are drinking. I still have a relationship with alcohol. It's just a relationship I no longer feed. And that's not because I'm broken. It's because I'm human. When I talk about alcoholism being this abnormal relationship with alcohol, that's part of it, right? It is, there's this mental piece. There is this preoccupation with alcohol. And I know you can relate to that because we think about it way more than anybody else on the planet. Non-alcoholic people never think about alcohol. They think about how much you think about it, right? Like that's an abnormal relationship. But those are the pieces that don't necessarily go away. I will always have some awareness of alcohol. When I'm watching a movie, you know, the love scenes don't catch my attention at all. But as soon as somebody's partying, my little brain perks right up. It's not intentional. It's just part of having an abnormal relationship with alcohol is having an abnormal preoccupation with it. Sobriety doesn't make the thoughts disappear. It just gives you the tools to not act on them. So if you've relapsed and you're sitting there thinking, why can't I just be normal? Or why does this keep happening? I want you to stop and hear this. You're not meant to be normal. You're meant to be extraordinary. You're creating a life most people never have the courage to build, a life of clarity, confidence, and where you're in full control. Starting over doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still in the fight. And that's something to be proud of. If you're ready to take the next right step, I want to invite you to join me in the Alcohol-Free April 21-day challenge. It's totally free. This is not a quick detox or a white knuckling it experiment. This is real support, daily structure, motivation, community, real-time tools to manage cravings, and a fellowship of incredible people who get it. Because you don't have to do this alone, and you shouldn't. You can sign up at addictionunlimited.com/April. And I will say that a few more times in the episode, so don't panic. addictionunlimited.com/April. So let's talk about how to make this next chapter stronger. Relapse is often a sign that something in your recovery routine or your plan isn't working anymore. Or maybe it never clicked in the first place. Maybe your mornings are chaotic and you're not grounded. Maybe your evenings are lonely and full of triggers, or you're still trying to white knuckle your way through stress without the right tools. And here's what I teach my clients. You need a daily plan, one that is simple, repeatable, and built to support your mind and body. And here's a couple different ways that it can look. Maybe it's you wake up 15 minutes earlier to do a daily check-in with yourself. Or move your body 10 to 15 minutes, even if you just take a walk. Spend 2 minutes visualizing how you want to feel by the end of your day. Have a plan for your witching hour, whether that's a Zoom meeting, journaling, or texting an accountability partner or sponsor or BFF, whatever. Maybe you do an end of day reflection where you just look back on your day and think what worked, what didn't, what could I have done differently. We do this in 12 steps at the end of the day. And like, did I handle things well? Did I say anything? Do I need to make amends to anyone? What could I have done better? Just a reflection, right? This is how you create emotional resistance, the kind that helps you make better choices even when life is messy. It's not about being perfect. It's about having a plan that keeps you from reaching for the wrong solution when the pressure builds. Remember what I tell you all the time about addiction. It needs a very specific set of circumstances to thrive. It needs you to be isolated from support. It needs you to feel alone, and it needs you to feel like shit about yourself. That's how it thrives. That's how it preys on you. So those are the pillars you have to make sure you are counteracting constantly. Make sure you have support of some sort. Make sure you're connecting so you don't feel alone. And make sure you're consistently doing things in your life that make you feel good about who and what you are. So if you're listening right now, wondering if you have it in you to try again, I want you to know that you absolutely do. And this next version of you is wiser, stronger, and knows exactly what you want. So join me for the Alcohol-Free April Challenge. Let me walk with you for 21 days and show you how to feel proud of yourself again. You can sign up at addictionunlimited.com/April. I will also drop it in the show notes, addictionunlimited.com/April. So let's pull it all together. Relapse is not the end of your story. It's a plot twist. A chapter that reminds you where you've been and how far you're willing to go to become the person you really want to be. You're not back at square one. You're standing on all the strength and insight and resilience you've built so far. Every craving you've resisted, every day you've chosen not to drink, every time you've picked yourself back up, those are wins, and they count. They all count. This journey isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about learning from every stumble and using that knowledge to get back up and be stronger. And the truth is, you don't have to figure it out alone. You don't have to stay stuck in shame or guilt or confusion, because there are plenty of ways forward. And I want to walk with you through that. So get in the Alcohol-Free April 21-day challenge with me. I'll give you the tools, the structure, the daily support to help you reset, rebuild, move forward confidently. And we're doing the challenge inside my private member community. So it's not on Facebook. It doesn't cost anything. You'll get 30 days of access. It starts when you start. So when you get, even if you sign up a little bit late, the official kickoff date is Friday, April 4th. Whenever you sign up and get started, that's when your 21 days starts, and you'll get full 30 days of access to the community and all the materials. Let this be the moment you choose yourself again. Let this be the day you stop beating yourself up and start giving yourself what you really need: grace, support, and a fresh start. You're worthy of a beautiful alcohol-free life, so let's make this your comeback story. Again, join me for Alcohol-Free April 21-day challenge, addictionunlimited.com/April. Of course, that is also in the show notes as always, so you can get there right from your podcast app, addictionunlimited.com/April. I can't wait to see you in our private community and to rock this thing. Alcohol-Free April is going to be incredible. addictionunlimited.com/April. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.